So of course I can't speak for everybody, but of course for me, I am Mexican American. I'm from a little small area called the Imperial Valley. It's like at the very, very bottom of California, and it's literally like 20 minutes away from Mexico. So right off the bat, I experienced a lot of low income, like poverty type of bias, I guess you could say. And then being plus size, that was another thing. When I initially first went, I remember one of the first thing that they told me was like, well, first of all, you're obese and you need to lose weight. And I was like, well, that doesn't have to do with the bruises. And they were like, well, maybe your body, they were just coming up with different excuses as to why, maybe it's because I have this problem or that problem. And I was just like, well, no, I don't really think that's the issue. And so then they had misdiagnosed me. I got sent home. And then when I had went back to the hospital, that was another thing they brought up again. I was in the hospital because I had a giant bruise on my lower back and it was like, looked like a tire mark. And they were like, okay, well, it says here that your BMI is high. And I'm like, but what does me being plus size have to do with the giant bruise on my back? Like, that doesn't make any sense, no correlation, nothing. So that was another big thing that just has always irritated me my entire life. I've always been a, pretty big, chubby girl. So if I had, hurt myself, that would always bring up my weight somehow. And it's just like, that has nothing to do with me breaking a bone or me having, you know, the cold or, something like dumb like that. So that was another thing that kind of bugged me whenever I was first diagnosed. They would always kind of bring up your weight and, you know, another thing is that because I live in a low income community, we don't have resources like cancer doctors down here. I think there's like maybe two, and they're not even in my local town. They're in like the town over that's like a 10-minute drive. So when I was first diagnosed, I was at the hospital for 12 hours. I was there with my mom and they had no clue what was wrong with me. So then I got sent to San Diego, which is like 2.5 hours away. And as soon as I got there, within like 30 minutes, I was diagnosed with cancer. So that's how quickly like they were able to catch it and everything. But in my local town, they had no clue what was wrong. They didn't know it was cancer. They didn't know what was going on. They just kept doing tests after tests after tests, and they were doing blood work. And then finally, they were just like, "We have no clue. We got to send you somewhere else. You got to get an ambulance and leave." So we were just like, "Okay." So yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that has a lot to do with my culture. I live in a small, mostly Mexican driven like city location. I guess the Imperial Valley is like a valley. I guess it has like 5 or 6 different little towns all put together. So a majority of us are Mexican, so we're considered like low income, poverty. We don't have a lot compared to when it comes to bigger towns like LA or San Diego or San Francisco. But yeah, I think those were my biggest, issues. And then of course being a woman, no matter what, you're always gonna get that, people aren't going to take you serious. They're going to think, oh man, she's just overreacting. She's on her period, or, your typical misogynist stuff that people say about you. But those were my biggest things, or I guess adversities that I had to go through when it came to my cancer journey.